Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Reviews, and I just got done watching the Season 3, Episode 1 opener of True Detective, The Great War and Memory. Now, this is a show I've been very excited to see come back. I love the first 2 seasons. I'm very happy HBO picked it up, and Mahershala Ali being in the lead role with Stephen Dorff is definitely something that, I mean, just an hour into it, already going, yes, because that dude is an amazing actor, and I like to watch him in whatever I possibly can. That being said, we're just one episode in, and it's already a very compelling and interesting and definitely a slow-burning drama, but it's already leading us down this path that I can tell is going to be, I think, probably not on par with the craziness where season 1 ended, right? Because you're never going to be able to top Matthew McConaughey in that role, I don't think. But they're not playing it like that. They're playing it a little bit differently. So this time it centers around Wayne Hayes, Detective Wayne Hayes, and it takes place over 3 timelines. 1980, specifically November 7th, 1980, the day Steve McQueen died, 1990, and 2015. So we're really focusing right now on the 1980, the 1990 a little bit, and the 2015. So what we have to know right off the bat, or what happens right off the bat, is you've got the Purcell children, Will and Julie, who go missing. The father, played by Scoot McNairy, is kind of a drunk. He told them to come back, wasn't really paying much attention. The day slipped by. When he finally realized his kids were gone, he calls the cops. He's worried, he's scared. His wife comes home and they get into a fight in front of the police, predominantly because they've already split up 6 months earlier. He's been sleeping on the couch and she blames him for not watching the kids while she was out getting drunk with her friends. So obviously there's already a pretty broken relationship there, and one that's only going to be further fractured by the missing children. Hayes and Roland West, played by Stephen Dorff, which is, at first I thought it was Billy Bob Thornton in the trailers because it really does look like Billy Bob Thornton hair on Stephen Dorff's body, which is quite frankly, they look kind of similar, to be honest with you. They are partners in Arkansas on the detective, on the police force. They're both detectives, and they kind of start off the night by not thinking they're going to find much to do. They get drunk at a quarry, try shooting at rats. They talk about possibly going and purchasing prostitutes, and then get into the discussion about how that's actually like, Stephen Dorff says he's a feminist because if a woman wants to sell a piece of ass, he's definitely willing to buy. But then they decide to, they get the call and they go and start investigating the disappearance. And then over the course of the next day, Hayes is trying to figure it out. He goes and he talks to Amelia Reardon, who is the English teacher at the school there, ages from 8 to 12. And she knows Will, and she talks a little bit about the type of character he is, kind of more of a shy guy that doesn't really get noticed very much. But they clearly have some chemistry, because we find out that she actually eventually becomes his wife, and that plays into the later timelines. At the same time, when it does flip over to the later timelines, the 1990 one starts off with him giving a deposition about the case, which took place 10 years prior, but we don't quite know what they're after yet, outside of trying to claim that basically they put away the wrong guy, which is already going to lead us to think that whatever they're doing right now is not going to mean anything, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. The 2015 timeline has everything to do with him as an old man who's got at least dementia or early onset Alzheimer's. And he is talking with a documentary crew for a program called True Criminal, because they want to interview him about the case, and obviously his wife's book about it that she wrote that becomes kind of the definitive Bible on this particular case, and obviously where they met and what brought them together. But he's having memory issues as well as anxiety going into it, because he's clearly not wanting to relive what is a truly traumatic part in his life. And at first I'm sitting there going like, how bad could it be? Because in the first season of True Detective, we've got, the woman like basically pegged to a tree, like how bad is it going to be with the kids? Well, that was the whole thing, is upon looking out there, doing the searches, we find out that Hayes was basically long range reconnaissance in Vietnam. He's a tracker. So he sets off on his own, keeps looking, and ends up encountering these white nuns, these little white straw/hay nun dolls. And he follows them to what is like this half kind of cave. And inside the cave, he finds Will's body. And it appears that Will was struck in the head with something. There's a little bit of blood on the ground next to him, but the way he's presented, his hands are like this. He's praying. His hands are very much praying. So the nun dolls, as well as the position that his body's laid in, tells me that, oh, he's in for some serious shit. There's going to be some serious stuff coming down the pipeline. But that's when we find out that his sister, then it goes to 1990. We find out that Julie is not dead, that her prints were picked up in a robbery that took place not too long before this deposition. And so now it's going to all come crashing down, at least in the 1990 timeline, trying to discover just what happened to Julie. And I think it's going to take place over the span of these 35 years. But right off the bat, it feels a bit more concise than season 1. And the reason why I tied to season 1 is because I feel like that is obviously what they're going back to. Season 2 was criticized enough for the way that it was portrayed. It was definitely not as much of a critical darling as the first season. And I think that I have a feeling that Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey might make an appearance in this season, because there's been talks about that. But so far, it's pretty awesome. If you guys have seen it, what do you think so far? What do you make of the White Nuns? What do you make of all of these things? Although, if you've seen tonight, you probably watched the first 2 episodes, but I will be reviewing that here in a few minutes. So let me know your thoughts and opinions below. I will talk to you guys later. Please thumbs up the video, subscribe if you're new, and have a good day, and peace out.